street from the Rockcliffe Hotel, just to fill the chairs. I don't know what tactics Laura uses. But others all the way from Toronto, which I do appreciate. I went into an antique store a few weekends ago, and I'm looking around, and the guy says, "So, where are you from?" And I said, "Toronto." He goes, "Huh, where's that?" Thank you, Laurie, for that introduction. I guess what I'd like to do is try not to unplug the computer. Talk a little bit about my philosophy as an artist, and then talk a little bit about each of the pieces or some of the pieces in the exhibition. And then, yes, perhaps we can go into the gallery and continue the discussion further. The title of the exhibition is Reinvented History. History is an invented thing, and it's invented by cultural and political battles, sexual motives, psychological desires and anxieties of the people that follow the said event. So it's doesn't make it really any less accurate, in my opinion, because of that. And in fact, many ways, perhaps it makes it more accurate, a better version of the truth. Any objects come from ideas in our heads. And while they're in our minds, these objects of desire appear to have some sort of form. But they don't have form. Not until we transpose them into the physical do they begin to have a form. So, which is more accurate? This idea, this idealized idea suspended in our minds, or this cobbled together product that we try to make real? Which would be more interesting? Which is more interesting? Which would be more interesting to hold in your hands? So, that's one of the transformations that I think is interesting. And in fact, everything we make evidences or symptoms what's going on inside our heads. I look, personally, my artwork, you'll notice it, the historical decorative arts as evidence of what humans tend to do, which is sort of the target of art making. Our brains, experiment. They make irrational couplings. Brain is quite comfortable with illogical, emotional hunches. Those are the things, those curiosities and subterranean desires are what I try to illustrate in my drawings and my objects. Sometimes with massive amounts of labor, ridiculous labor. You'll see some of the stitching and woodworking is almost verges on ridiculous in my work. At other times, very simple little transformations or interventions. I was tickled, in a strange way, when Laurie invited me to exhibit here. Because I have history here in this town. Our family has been cottaging in Minden for So every summer of my life, I have spent at Mountain Lake, 3 miles north of here. So what I am, to a large extent, what I am and what I do must have come out of that lake. So for me, this is special to be exhibiting here. It's cool. A lot of I was an only child, but my sisters in the audience have a little trouble with that. I mean, most of these people, for the camera's sake, are my relatives. I'm going to begin.
Would you introduce them?
For those of you who don't know my family, we'll start in this corner. Dane Somerville, my brother-in-law, please come down. There's more of my family coming in. Any more family still arriving? Yeah, more family. My 2 sisters, Linda and Sharon, pink, black and white striped shirts, and their recent husband. Of 40 years or so marriage. So all of us have spent a significant amount of time in this town. And looking at the old photos in front of the pharmacy or around the museum here, I do look for myself and my sisters, because we are probably in those old photos, in those old forms. And yeah, Sadie Ray. Welcome. Yeah. My niece's daughter. First summer at Mountain Lake. I just have some things I want to say about the images, if I can stay on track a bit here. But first of all, typical recent immigrants, inner city family, Euclid Avenue escapes the city to get their kids to a lake so they don't end up in jail. That is my grandmother on the very left, and my great aunt just holding the car. This is my mother. She's now what, 90? Wow. And her 2 brothers on either side of her, the ones that would have, I guarantee you, ended up in jail if they had stayed in Toronto each summer. So each summer, the women and children were shipped off to the lake, and the men went back to the city. Often getting here in the Model T, we hear stories, T-Model Ford. Kids would be strapped to a mattress in the back, and 10 hours of driving to get them to Mountain Lake. Is that sign still up? Mountain Lake, one way, 12 miles the other. That's me. Wow. And that's my grandfather, and that's our lake. So that's, I think, where the trouble started. Okay, so another angle or aspect or view of history. I mean, there are certain cultural icons that persist. As you can see, the furnitural-ishness thing is the territory that I operate in. So I look for the strong icons that we can't seem to shake, and I wonder why. Of course, the demi-lune exists in every single period of furniture that's ever been made. And how could I put that to work? Because we all know this table. So I started creating objects that resonate of that memory, but aren't direct copies. And to my surprise, these are quite popular. I've sold many of these tables, each one quite different, each one a total mess. But when people look at them, they see not only the fun of the assembly of these things, but a memory of the icon as they recall it. Normally they're titled A Table Made of Wood, because they are. This one happens to be called A Table Made of Furniture, because it is. All made from offcuts or pieces of found furniture. I don't, well, I love the lake, I love the cottage, I don't exactly holiday well. I am a task-oriented person, so this summer, with the only tools I had, which was a ball of string and some driftwood down at the beach, I decided to try and get back at that demi-lune form, and I made this piece. And to my surprise, when I dragged it back to Toronto, well, you can sell anything in Toronto. William wasn't here. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, artists are supposed to be looking for the new. The new I'm looking for is in the past. Everything that we are capable of has already occurred, in my opinion. And very superficially, we can see how our desires of style and form infuse everything that we make. You know, like this is not how the cow looks exactly, and there's even more severe pictures than this, where we really turn the desired shape of cattle is a very squared off thing. Early, you know, there's a connection going on there. And of course, this leads to one of the pieces in the exhibition called autonomic table, which autonomic means like a reflex, intuitive reflex, undisciplined. So what do you see here? A cow kneeling. Yeah.
Easy way to clean the table when you're done.
Easy way to clear off the... So, with very little intervention on a historic object, we have a completely animated piece of furniture. There's details that are, you know, moving into more than a kneeling cow, in that, you know, if I can, I sort of broaden the infusion of human penchant for doing damage is something we like to play down. But these legs aren't just cut and bent, they're snapped. And it was an extremely loud noise in my studio when I snapped it. Well then, you know, are things reversible? Can we repair damage? Can you reverse that situation? And thus the hinge. So of course that's ridiculous. Reversible break. This is a typical cabinet scraper. of about the same period, 18 whatever, 14, 40 or something. But this is a fabulous tool to use. It scrapes wood and holds the blade perfectly. It cannot be improved upon. Well, it was like, how? Then I use this all the time, and I've tried many, many cabinet scrapers. This was called, this was not looked at as some kind of goofy cowhead cabinet scraper. This is how you made a cabinet scraper from probably 1750 to 1850. This is what they looked like. Drawing is a parallel interest of mine. You're late.
Sorry about that.
Here's a seat.
Let's start over. Stephen Sorensen, congratulations. He bought this. This nut bought this. They're from Toronto. I apologize. We've been friends for a long time. I've tried to get rid of them, but where were we? Drawing is a parallel kind of pursuit of mine. I try to bring them together in some way, combine objects and drawing. It's impossible, I can't do it, so there are two streams of investigation. Some objects need to be built. Some objects need to be brought into the physical. You need to be forced to encounter them in the real. Other ideas need to remain in that bottomless void of a white page. And we are quite capable of placing ourselves into a drawing and almost believing this is possible, which I think that's peculiar in a way. This is in the exhibition in the hallway there, but it also is a slice, because when we look at flat art, the way we enter it is we do imagine ourselves in the scene. So in a way we do go into the page. So there's a slice through which maybe we enter. A table and a door. Events have repercussions. Aspects that move in and out of focus, much like our minds. So for me, a drawing is halfway in between the idea that lingers in my head and an object I may build. Hovers in a halfway point. So what happened here? Why is it blocking the door? What's behind that door? In a way, drawings are much freer objects. There are many neuroses and ghosts that we carry around with us, mostly from an early age. And we can't admit to these things, but we each have baggage, and it ends up placing itself into our environments, how we decorate our homes. If you saw a psychiatrist, they would be able to kind of notice that what you're doing in your home is kind of your problem, and you better face it. So, and I believe in a much longer trajectory of the development of the human than perhaps some people do. I believe that what my two daughters do in front of the mirror for certain reasons, Lucy did. That's my time frame when I look at the human. That's the gap I consider. What's that, 2.4 million years? Or was it 3.4 million? Lucy?
3.
3.
Yeah.
I believe that.
3.0.
This is titled, a couple of titles. I don't know what that title says, but an incorporeal truth, incorporeal real. Truth with absolutely no physical evidence. That's what that word means. So again, this is kind of the area or the transformation or the developmental gap between when we looked like that and when we sat in that. That's something that interests me. And the outstretched arm kind of represents bridging that